Hello, welcome to the RC block. I'm Jamie Nitro, and tonight we're going to get into this engine and we're going to fix it and get it ready to install into the Morgan here. So, let's get into it. Last weekend, I decided to go through this Morgan. Now, a little bit of a backstory on this. I got this motor last March. And I ran it the way it came from factory. I put many hours on it like that, and didn't really have a problem, but I also didn't really think it ran the way it was supposed to. So in any case, not really having the time to really open up and get into it, I wanted to start building the Morgan here, and I just kind of left it the way it was and figured I would get into it at a later time, which I did. So anyway, I got into the motor, got it running again, and it was still doing the same thing it was doing when I first got the motor, which was, you know, I couldn't get it really tuned the way I wanted to get it tuned. I was getting excessive oil coming out of the exhaust pipes, and it just didn't seem right. So anyway, I went and I redid the whole timing from scratch. I wanted to make sure that the factory had the correct timing on the cam gears here, which they do. And unfortunately, this engine doesn't come with timing marks, so I had to make my own timing marks, and you can see it right there. There's my timing marks lined up there. Now I went through a couple different positions and took the covers off, and I went through and checked the static timing of the engine. Now the factory timing is correct. So in the end, I ended up going back to factory timing because it was correct. But what I found was happening was the ignition timing. So here I have it marked. That's my top dead center for this piston here. Now the ignition was happening after top dead center, and it was happening on the downstroke. So not something you really want on an engine. Normally an engine's gonna fire about 10 degrees before TDC, and all engines are unique. Some engines do fire at top dead center. I felt that this was firing too late because of all the excessive oil that was coming out. So in any case, what I did was I took the sensor, which has the two magnets here, the little sensor wheel, and it has two magnets, and each of these magnets go over the sensor, and that's what tells the ignition box here to fire the spark plug and do the power stroke. Now, in the time that I owned the engine, I never had a problem with the hall sensor, but then when I put the engine in the chassis and started it, the hall sensor burnt out on me after a few runs. I had a few runs on it and something happened and the hall sensor burned out. So I figured that I would try to put a regular hall sensor on here, and that's what's on here right now, is a regular 43F or 3144 is on here right now, and this sensor worked for me, so that was great. So in any case, I got it running again, and then after a few runs, for some reason it started running on one cylinder, and then the sensor just quit on me again. So for some reason, after I installed the motor into the chassis, I've had two sensors blow out on me. So what I think is happening is that because of all the extra metal on this chassis, this wire is coming very close to these metal and touching. And I think what's happening is because it's touching, it's burning out the sensor. There's spark leakage even though I'm running resistors, you're still getting a bit of spark leakage that goes through the engine. And if you have a metal chassis like this, then you run the risk of the wire coming very close to the chassis and spark leakage burning out the sensor. So that's what I think is happening, because I've had it happen twice now, and it's only happened in the chassis. When I've had it on the stand, it doesn't burn out, and on the stand it's all wood, there's no metal. So I'm pretty confident that I need to shield this better. Now what I'm gonna do is I totally forgot that I had the Cison FG9 hall sensors, and it comes with 2 sensors on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these sensors off, and I'm just going to install it onto this guy, clean it all up and get it ready to go, and then install it back on the engine to get it running again. And then tonight we're going to also take the flywheel off here and install the dog bone, hopefully, or some sort of way to install a drive shaft onto the engine, so that all I have to do is put a propeller shaft from the engine to the transmission, and the motor is connected. So stay with me, and let's do that part. I'm going to speed everything up. Okay, so if you like what I'm doing here and the information I'm putting out is good, you think the models are cool that I'm building, please like my video, subscribe to my channels. That way you get notified when I have new videos coming out. Also, I love it if you leave comments down below. Let me know how I'm doing. That way I can improve my videos and keep bringing you guys good videos. So I had to stop my video there because I was having a problem getting this nut off the flywheel there. And I had a feeling it was a reverse nut. All my engines are regular, but this one happens to be reverse thread. So in any case, because it was being so hard to get off and I was going the wrong way, I did the proper thing and I put this in a vise so that I could clamp down the flywheel properly, and then that way I could heat up the bolt a little bit better, make sure I freed any Loctite that was there, and then I tried to loosen it off. Now I went the regular way at first, but I could feel that the tension was still there, it wasn't getting any less. So then I tried to go the other way, it loosened right off. So there you go, it came right off. And then what I did there was I decided to put my drive shaft right onto the crankshaft here. And to do that, you're going to want a 6mm reverse tap, and go ahead and tap your threads onto the shaft. Your shaft will then screw right on. Use red Loctite to hold it on securely. Now, because I'm using a drive shaft, if I wanted to, I could use this grub screw or set screw in here and add an extra locking force if needed. But I think I'm going to be okay with how it is. Now, this modification I did for the ignition. So first off, I fixed my hall sensor here. I added an extra shielding to the wire. This is a dual shielded shrink tube, so should be pretty good. But I also have a fiberglass protecting weave that I'm going to put over this after I put everything together. I just left it out so I could show it to you like this. Now what I was saying there, I took the sensor off of this one, which is super small and not the easiest thing to desolder, and then I put that sensor back onto this guy here, and now everything is sensing good. I've tested it with my handy little tester here and everything is okay, so I can go ahead and put this back together properly. Now I left this apart because I wanted to show you guys what I did here. So on this shaft there's a D, it's a D shaft, so it has the shape of a D, and by doing that, when you put this on there, originally this can't move, it's locked into position. That's where your ignition is, and you have no advancements on that at all. So what I did was I marked out where my D was originally, and I put a little mark there. Then I filed out the flat part till it was all round again. That way I could get it on here and I can move it around to where I want to adjust it. Now, originally it's here, but I've been finding the engine runs really nice about here, and of course, I mean, I'm playing around with that until I get the desired effect I want. Now of course I'm going to get this all back together first before I start playing around with anything else. Now that I know the engine's running again and everything's almost done with building. One of the other problems that I ran into when I did this modification was there's not really any way to be able to get at my little grub screw, because I drilled and tapped a 2mm hole on the actual magnetic disc here, and but the problem is when you put it on the shafts, this little cone here prevents you from being able to get an Allen key in there to lock down your grub screw. So I modified an Allen key, and then I took some diamond bits, and with these diamond bits I got a few different ones, but I was able to go in and actually open up the hole inside here, So now I got a little bit of a rounded out hole there, and that allows me to go past the sensor wire and actually get the Allen key in here enough to be able to tighten and loosen the grub screw. And I'm using 2 grub screws, not just one. I'm using 2. That way I can Loctite the first one in and put that one all the way down, and then I have a second one that will go up and behind it, and that will lock down on the second. Oh, I already got the screw in there. So yeah, I have 2 grub screws that I use in there, one to lock on the shaft and then one to lock onto the screw. And that's how I'm able to now have adjustable timing, ignition timing. So I can go and I can adjust this anywhere I want. Right here is about 10 degrees before TDC. And that's where I've been going with so far. So I'm going to just keep going with it and see how it goes and see where that takes me. Now another thing too, because I put a drive shaft on the back, I no longer need to use this one-way bearing, which wasn't a very good setup anyway. A lot of people were having problems and breaking them. So now my one-way bearing is actually on the transmission, and this is where my one-way bearing is now. So and that will that's how I'm going to start my motor off a belt drive with the starter here. That'll start the motor, and now I don't need to have that starter set up on the back of this engine. That's going to allow me to have a cleaner setup up front because everything is pushed back. It also keeps the weight of the model towards the back where I want it. And yeah, so it's working out according to plan here. Hopefully everything keeps going on this path. I've got some cool things coming up for this Morgan. That's why I don't have the frame out here, because I don't want to give away anything yet. But yeah, I can't wait to show you the finished product here. Stay tuned for my next videos. On the next video I'm going to get the servos installed, and I'm going to show you guys how I install all my 0 points and get everything set up on my radio to be able to control all the functions that I want. So stay tuned for next time. Good luck on your next build, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.